Hey guys, the MIgardener, and so today I thought I'd come to you guys today with a video because there's a lot that's been growing here, but I didn't really want to specifically talk about that, more or less the garden as a whole, and just some things. And also I might mention that it is a perfect day. Now cross your fingers, it is Michigan, but we've had an absolutely amazing day thus far. And I think the rain is over. I don't think there's any more in the forecast. We got about 5 inches of rain, so it was like, wow, that was a big one. And so we're gonna have to definitely refertilize, put some more compost down, and fix things up, because there are some really yellow plants, not here, but at the cottage. And so these are looking amazing. I mean, these are all really lush. But aside from that, we do have another probably 7 to 10 days where it's like no stuff in the forecast for craziness, and I think everything's going to respond very well to the nice weather, as well as me. But I didn't come out here to talk about the weather. I came out here to kind of talk about some truths about greenhouses, because I work at one, and what I'm about to say doesn't really apply to all greenhouses. It might, well, I mean, it may or may not. I'm not sure, but I'm not saying that if you run a greenhouse that this is what's going to happen, but it's just some things that the general public doesn't really know that I think should be out there. And granted, if my boss sees this, I could lose my job, but let's just say we do things a little bit differently. And a lot of things I don't agree with at all. And so I'm just going to go through some common misconceptions about greenhouses. Number one, and these are by the way, these are like things that people say to me or that I hear, and then my response to why those things are absolutely false. Wow, you guys grow a lot of things here. That's not true. We are growing them, but we don't start them from seed. We actually bring them in from other people. A lot of people think that a greenhouse is actually like a place where you start from seed and you sell a plant. That's not true. We actually will actually outsource from 6 or 7 different companies, so your quality is always going to change. You never really have a standard that you can meet, that you can stay by, because every company uses a different soil, every company uses a different pesticide, every company uses a different fertilizer, so nothing is ever the same. Another one that I get, wow, these plants are so healthy. Now this is a big one. I really shouldn't be saying this because I don't want to start a riot, but the plants are not healthy. The plants are essentially kept up by a constant feeding of fertilizer, basically in the water. We have a pump that actually pumps fertilizer every single time we water. So if you are to look at the plant and say, wow, this plant's green, it's flowering, the moment you take it off that fertilizer, it wilts immediately. Almost within the day, it'll start to wilt because it needs that water. Also, the roots, the reason why it wilts is because there aren't any roots. You feed the plant right at the source, and so the roots don't have to go out for water, the roots don't have to go searching for nutrients, so therefore you literally have just a little root ball. And you can pop them right out. They can be a huge plant, and you can just pop them right out, and there is not any roots whatsoever. And then another question is, you guys really care about quality? And this one always makes me laugh, because we do care about quality, but quality has nothing to do with what we actually throw out. We throw out so many plants, period, just plants. It doesn't matter what kind of plant. We throw out so much because it is so much production. It's just pure production. And there's never really like, oh, look at this plant, let me just take time for this plant. No, there's no time. You don't take time for plants. You don't take time for individual plants. You line everything up in an assembly line, you plant everything at once, you water everything at once. There's no beauty about a greenhouse. You know, people that walk into a greenhouse, they're awe-inspired. You know, everything is just lush, everything's green, but behind the scenes, it's not what it's cut out to be. It's not everything that people say it is. You know, it's not beautiful at all. It's not, you know, it's not like you actually can take time to enjoy the beauty of a plant, because it's just get it in and get it out. That's what a greenhouse is. It's not meant for enjoyment. You know, so people that go to greenhouses, they do serve good. They do serve good. I mean, they grow things that I wouldn't be able to start by a seed, and they come fully grown. So if you want instant beauty, there you go. But it's just the fact that gardeners like me, you know, when I buy my starts, I don't buy many, but when I do buy my starts, for instance, some of these peppers that I couldn't start because they just wouldn't sprout, but some of these peppers, you know, I bought the plants, and I had to constantly battle with finding the best plants, you know, the most mature plants. I also had to battle with nutrient deficiencies early on in the beginning, and they're doing fine now, but it's just, if you don't know how to fix them, you basically bought a dead plant. It looks great in the greenhouse, but the moment you take it out of the greenhouse, it's dead. And, you know, so they do serve good in giving people what they need, but it's also kind of doing a disservice because it's making people do more work than they should have to do. And another thing that I was going to talk about was, you guys are so knowledgeable. Thank you so much for your knowledge. I get all that all the time. And me, you know, I genuinely, if someone comes in looking for a flower or a vegetable and it's not what suits them, I won't sell it to them. I'll tell them flat out, you know, this isn't probably the flower for you. And very large truck going by. All right, so I won't sell them a plant that doesn't suit their growing conditions. I just won't, because I don't like giving people a disservice. And I get in trouble for that. I do. If someone hears it, they say, you know, Luke, we're not supposed to say that. You know, we're supposed to, and they tell you to basically lie. And so what I'm saying for this is, you know, not everyone will lie to you, but the majority of the greenhouse industry is just get it in and get it out. And so if they tell you something, make sure you go into the greenhouse knowing something. Don't go in blind. If you go into a greenhouse blind, you don't know what's the truth and what's not, and you don't know who to trust. You know, if there was a million of me running every single greenhouse, granted, not everything would sell. Granted, profit might not be made, but people would be getting the right answers, and people would be having more success in their garden instead of taking something home and having it die and then coming back asking why it died. And the reason why it died is because someone said that a petunia would grow in shade, or someone said that that a begonia would do amazing in full sun. You know, it's just things like that that I'll be watering some plants, and I'll hear a customer say, you know, I'm looking for a shade-loving plant. I have a porch, and she has a begonia in her basket, and then she has petunia in her basket, and she says, you know, I really like the petunia. I know these say shade-loving, but will the petunia last? Will the petunia do well on my porch? You know, it doesn't get much sun at all. And I'll hear one of the employees say, oh yeah, it'll do fine. You know, just keep it watered, keep it fertilized, it'll do good. And I'm thinking to myself, that petunia is not going to grow at all. I mean, if you have 3 to 4 hours of sunlight, a petunia is not going to grow in your conditions. And it's just like, you want to scream and just shake the employee and say, look, you're like telling them a total lie, but you can't. I mean, I couldn't do that. I would be fired on the spot. And so, you know, it happens. But what I can say is that anyone that asks me, I'll tell them an honest answer. And you know, it's just part of the ethics of owning a greenhouse as well. I think the mentality is more monopolistic, because you have an establishment that grows plants that nobody can grow. I mean, or very hard to grow. or that people don't know where to get the seeds from even. So they say, look, this greenhouse is here. I have to go to it because I don't know where else to go. So you can jack up the prices, you can sell a lot, and you can make a ton of money. And so it's no longer about helping out the gardener. It's no longer about giving them good quality. It's no longer about caring for the plants, or even caring for the earth. And that brings me into another common misconception, is that greenhouses are helping the world spread beauty. And when in reality, that's not totally true. The greenhouse doesn't regulate how much fertilizers or like green up fertilizer or pesticides. It doesn't regulate how much it washes into the water. And that water flushes right into a river right outside my house. All that water goes right out in there. And so when you have people saying, oh, you know, we have record high algae blooms, the water is super clear and it's killing all the fish, you know, I'm not saying that the greenhouses are a major contributor, but they certainly don't help. And given the fact that we just use all water soluble, we use a soilless potting mixture, and so everything that goes into the soil has to be fed through the water. We don't use any fertilizers, it's just not cost effective. So we use water soluble fertilizers, and all those run right through the plant. If you overwater, runs right through the plant, runs right into the drain, right out into the river. And it's just not regulated. So, you know, to say that we're helping things just doesn't work either. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys were kind of enlightened as well. And I don't want to say, you know, never shop at a greenhouse, because granted, I mean, I shop at greenhouses, but make sure that you kind of go in with some knowledge so that you aren't being sold the wrong thing. Make sure that you're well informed as well. And also, if you are going to work at a greenhouse or plan on working at a greenhouse, or if you own a greenhouse, don't run it with the aspect of just making money. I think if more people helped out in the sense of growing plants the proper way, caring more about each individual plant more than the mass production, and also cared more about the consumer and giving them a good quality product that hasn't been, you know, cherry picked through a bunch of bad ones, you know, that's just that's not how a greenhouse should be run. And so, you know, I want people to know, because I was getting so many questions day in and day out, and I was just getting so sick of the way things were being run, and I felt something needed to be said. Now, I'll still continue to work there as long as I can, but I will say that this will most likely be my last year at the greenhouse. And the reason why is just because when you work with plants like I do, and you love your plants, and you nurture them, and you really get to love them, at a greenhouse you don't get a chance to do that. And you're working 12, 14 hours. It's a seasonal job, so I'll work from 7 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night some nights during the busy season. And when you constantly are working with plants at mass production, and you see the neglect and stuff, it really drains you for your love of plants. And I don't want to ever lose my love of my garden. I never want to lose my love of my plants. And so I guess when it comes down to it, I just want to say that you know, you do get a little burnt out and you do get a little exhausted. So this will be my last year at the greenhouse, and it'll give me more time to spend with my plants, and I'll probably find a different job. You know, I'll find a job, no problem, but it won't be at a greenhouse, because I just don't like it. I don't like the mentality. I don't like the idea of it. I don't like the way things are run. And to be frankly honest, I don't like being a part of it. And so, had I known that in the beginning, I might have changed my mind. But since I'm in it, and they offered me a pay raise this year, I decided to take the job a second year. And that second year was just enough, regardless of the pay raise, regardless of anything. It's my last year. And so I just want to kind of fill you guys in on that, kind of inform you guys, and kind of enlighten you guys on some things that might not be known at all. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you guys learned something new. And as always, this is MIgardener, reminding you to grow big or go home. And I'll see you guys next episode for a nice fun episode. And I'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Bye.